Hey guys, here's Louis. So I'm continuing and working on Ladybird here. I want to make this bracket that this car was sold to the owner that previous has it right now, and he brought it to my house for I could fix it up. So it was sold to him without a really important bracket, and I guess when they was doing the upper dash, which is right here, they replaced this. Well, they did some cutting to the dash over here, this part of the dash, okay, and they never was able, or they didn't care. In my opinion, they didn't care. They didn't put a bracket that holds down the dashboard. This side has it, but that side don't have it, and that side being more important, I'm going to tell you why. So right now the dashboard just flops around. I want to do that. I want to get a couple of things done because my plan is to seal the floor and paint underneath the dash and get all that ready, because I will be pulling the fenders off possibly today and getting the car ready so I can weld and fix anything underneath. So I have to remove the subframe, the front subframe. I'm also getting ready to weld the transmission, not the transmission, sorry, the drive shaft bump stop. I did find it. It's right here. I'm giving it to him. Like I said, he watches my back, I watch his. So what I am referring to, put some light on this. Right now, if I could explain myself here. Right now, the dashboard right here is not flopping around. It's solid because the steering column bracket, also the pedal bracket, which that's not the pedal bracket that belongs to this car. The one that belongs to this car is in the garage, because he's converting, well, he's not converting, he's going back to original manual car. This car, I believe, was an original 3-speed car. He's gonna try to do a 4-speed now. So because all this is bolted, is solid, it's not flopping. But if I was to remove this, this will be flopping around like crazy, because the guy that put this car together, let me see if I could get you guys in here. And I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. Oh, there goes the light. I hope you guys can. He never, right here, there's supposed to be a bracket, okay? And that bracket is really important because your emergency, so right here is missing, and it ties down to in here to the dashboard, and it makes it nice and solid that it doesn't flop around. And also right here is where your emergency brake pull, T-handle pull, mounts to the assembly, mounts to the bottom of the dash. And right here is your T-handle. You'll be able to pull it, the emergency brake cable. But without that bracket, he doesn't have nowhere to mount it to, because there's one bolt that mounts it right here, and it's missing. Let me see, it's missing. All this is missing. So since I have a couple of 68s in the bird cage, I'm gonna be making a template off of the ones in the bird cage, so I can be able to put it here on Ladybird and make it correct. So we're gonna take a walk now to the bird cage. And these are the little things you guys have to pay attention if you're buying a car that somebody did metal work to, and you'll see that they replaced the whole dashboard, because you just never know what you're gonna get. Okay, and I noticed that, so I knew that somewhere in the build I would have to go and put all this together. All right, here's the Lovebird. I turned her on today. She started up nicely for a cold day. Here's the white 68, 67 over there, and the 69 over there. And this is another 68 Firebird I have here. Okay, she's a mess right now. I made a video about it, how I got it, but in the future I plan to build this car too. I don't know if I'm gonna do the metal work and then sell the car off with all the metal work done, because if I get to paint it, I'm keeping it. So now here is the bracket I am talking about. You see that nut right there? That's the nut that you're going to be screwing a bolt to for it to hold your emergency pedal bracket. Okay, and that's how the bracket looks. And if you see, it's welded to the inner structure, okay, of the kick panel slash dashboard. Is a really strong structurally part right there, and it's also welded to the bottom of the dash, being right here. So I took a cardboard and I was bending it into shape to mock up that shape of the original one. Okay, and I also have, with a pencil, I drew, where are you? Right there, you see that circle? That's where I have to do the cutout and welding nut to, so he can have somewhere to bolt the emergency pull cable. So let me mock this up and let me transfer the cardboard template to steel, flat piece of steel, and fabricate that. I'll bring you guys back. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you the metal bracket that I fabricated, which is really important. It's right here, but it's really important they do not produce these or sell them. So if you are going to buy a car that somebody repaired the dash and burned in a new complete dash, make sure they either put it on, okay, or they might have it laying around still somewhere, or just make note that you're gonna have to do the same thing I did. All right, so what I want to make sure is, I looked up in the bird cage and I found an original emergency brake pedal assembly. I'm going to be installing it, okay, to get the correct measurements. And let me show you guys what I'm doing here. Okay. So this is the bracket I came up with and I did myself. All right, I fabricated this bracket. Right here is where your emergency brake pedal assembly needs to bolt onto, and there's a little hole here and also a hole in the dashboard, okay, from factory, that I'm gonna use to it will be my lining pin, okay, to make sure everything is aligned. All right, so that's gonna be for my adjustments and all that. And I'm using a bolt with a nut for I could slide it down this small hole, also the small hole that comes from factory with the dash, and make sure I am straight in there. So I'm going to install it now. Have my bolt go into that small hole. There you go. The nut to hold it in place. I know you can't see completely. I will bring the phone closer. All right. that should hold it good enough for me. Now I'm going to install the pedal assembly, emergency brake pedal assembly. Just to get my measurements. Alright, I'm happy with that. Right there. She should be great right there. Let me see this. All right, yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Okay, let me bring you guys closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, so here is the bracket that was missing, okay, for the dashboard to stop being flippity flop and flapping all around like this. And like I said, she's not flopping right now because I have the steering wheel column bolted on to all this setup here assembly, so that's why she's nice and tight here. But here goes the brake pedal assembly. Okay, she gets mounted to 2 holes on the firewall. Come on now. Okay. And this is where the bolt is gonna go in. This is the bolt that's holding it for me, holding the bracket I did. And she's lining up, okay? I mean, it's kind of hard to do this for one hand, but she is lining up right there. Let me get a pin for you guys to see. I gotta put the phone down, sorry. All right, there you go. Sorry for that, but there you go. As you can see, she's there. Now I gotta set everything up so I could weld it. But if you see this pin that I'm using to align, she's gonna bolt right on there. Let me see, she'll stay steady. There you go. See? So where that pin is, if this thing could focus, where you see that pin, oh boy, where you see that pin sticking out, right over here, this pin right there, is where the bolt, which this is the original bolt, okay, needs to get bolted through for he could have a mounting point for his emergency brake assembly. And what I'm gonna do is weld a nut on the top side. Let me do that, weld in the bracket, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right guys, and now I have the bracket mounted to the bench vise, and here is where the emergency brake pedal assembly gets bolted to from underneath, and the bolt will go through just like this. I am using a washer with the bolt going through on this side, through another washer with a smaller nut, okay, than the nut that I need to hold down the nut that I need flush to the bracket. And here I'm going to just tack weld it, and then I'll weld it going all around, and she should not go anywhere. Let me just adjust this a little. All right, there, it's beautiful. Okay, I like to use these Harbor Freight light when I'm gonna weld, because I'm able to see a lot better. One tack there. One tack over there. Another tack. And let's do one more here. All right, and that should be good enough for that nut not to go anywhere. All right, guys, now that I have the nut welded, and that's how it looks. Okay, there you go. That shouldn't go anywhere. Look at the penetration on that. I mean, that came out beautiful. Now I'm going to install it back on the car, and I'll show you guys how I clamp it and where I'm going to weld it to. All right, guys, so I bolted the emergency brake pedal assembly to the firewall. Okay, that takes 2 nuts on the other side of the firewall, and she's mounted. And I also insert the bolt. If you guys could see that, it's right there. It went right through. Okay, and now the original bracket, okay, it's not flush, it's going a little up, and that's how she is, if you could see it right there. All right, so I had to make a relief cut. I had to make a relief cut right here, so I was be able to bend this up. Now the metal that was left on the other side, I need to bend it to the other way, which will be in the bottom of this bracket here. Then I weld everything up, and we'll come back to this section and bolt it permanent and weld it permanent. And this is what I was talking about, this bracket. So this is the way she looks mounted on the dash. Okay, if you're the driver and you're looking at it, she'll be looking like this. And as you could see right here, she's bended up, going up. All right, and this extra metal right here, so I had to make a relief cut. There goes the relief cut, like that. It was going to allow me, the metal, to bend it up. Now I drew a line there, knowing that this piece needs to get bended this way. Let me do that. Let me get everything welded, and when the bracket is done being welded, I'll go and mount it on back to the bottom of the dash. All right, guys, there you go. So here are my self tappers. I will be plug welding into that inner structure there, so this bracket will be nice and strong. And where I made my relief cut, now I will bring my welder and just give it like 2 tack welds like that. I know it's not going to move on me or anything until I take it to the bench and fully weld where I cut it. But as you guys could see, that looks awesome there. All right, it's nice and functional. It's solid to the dash. Everything is nice. I'll bring you guys back when everything is fully welded and installed. All right, guys, and that's the end of it. The bracket is fully installed. Okay, fully plug weld to the dash and also your inner structure. And there you go. Well, now the owner of Ladybird is going to have a bracket that he can mount his emergency brake cable pedal assembly. And he also don't have to be afraid that when he removes his steering column, this will be flapping all over the place, because she's nice and strong. And now I'm going to be fixing these plug welds here. And once I am done with those plug welds there, guys, the next time you'll see this car, you're not going to recognize it, because I'm going to do the seam sealing. It's next. Also painting it satin black in here, and she should look excellent. I mean, Totally different car. I love how everything is working out. I will also be seam sealing inside the wheelhouse. I want to now lift the car higher and put it on jack stands on the front. She is on jack stands on the rear, but I still need it higher up because I'm going to be plug welding to the bottom of the floor, the dry shaft bump stop. And I'm going to keep on just working on the car for today. I hope you enjoyed that video. So remember, when they say you could buy everything for these cars in a catalog, you really can't. Not everything, most of it. But being a convertible, there's less things out there. I have showed it in previous videos on the Lovebird. Okay, sometimes you just need to put your hands together, your mind together, and fabricate your own parts. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it's helpful for a lot of people just to look out when you're buying the car and your project like that. You could get it done. Like I always say, keep your hands dirty and your project will move forward. Bye bye now.